Empiricism, David Hume. History of Psychology, Professor Michael Botwin, Department of Psychology, California State University, Fresno. David Hume is our next empiricist philosopher. He takes George Berkeley one step further and says God is not necessary to understand the world. And he said we could only know our subjective experiences of the world. We cannot know the world directly. In other words, he believed that the mind is a secondary quality, and everything we perceive is a secondary quality as well. Now, Hume believed we can never experience the physical world directly. We only can have a perception of it. He didn't deny the existence of physical reality. However, he denied the possibility of knowing the physical world directly. Let's take a few minutes and look at how Hume looked at mental life. So Hume starts and he talks about impressions. And in his view, impressions are strong, vivid sensations that leave traces on the mind. Ideas are weaker perceptions. In his view, imagination is the ability to infinitely rearrange ideas in the mind. You can see he's using a different version of the definition of imagination that we use in modern times. In other words, what he's basically saying is we have images in the brain, we can rearrange them, we can move them around to gain knowledge of something. Now, Hume, like every other empiricist philosopher we've been talking about, has a series of laws of association. The first one is resemblance. And he says similar ideas are clustered together in memory. So if you were to think about what you take out on a picnic for food, and all of those kind of picnicky foods would be clustered in the same area. You might have hot dogs, you might have burgers, potato salad, all that good stuff. But when you bring that up, all those images are clustered together because you've experienced them together. And they resemble picnic food. Now, he also has that good old law of association, contiguity. And in Hume's contiguity, things that are experienced in a similar time or place are mentally clustered together without any type of stimulation. They just happen to go together because of contiguity. That word. Contiguity. I knew I could say it. So, we experience something, we may go someplace, and we have all these things clustered because we're experiencing them in the same time and place. So if you were to think about the last picnic you went on, you think about the place, the food, the people, the weather, all of these things would be together in your remembrance of that picnic because of contiguity. Now, cause and effect starts to become a major thing for the empiricist philosophers. And when we think of cause, we have to always remember that the effects happen before the cause. Kind of have this worded a little awkwardly here. So when we think of an effect, we also think of the events that preceded that effect. In other words, what caused that effect. And he believes cause and effect are intricately and inextricably linked. So, first of all, cause and effect must be contiguous in time and space. They must happen relatively close in order to each other. So something causes something, the effect happens. Think about the old Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams, and the good old statement that I'm sure you've heard many times, if you build it, he will come. That's cause and effect. If you don't build it, he's not coming. And then I guess you don't have a movie. So you have to look at those kinds of things. If you are a behaviorist or interested in behaviorism, you've probably spent a considerable amount of time looking at the timing of stimuli and responses. Skinner especially spent a considerable amount of time looking at how long it takes for a stimulus to be out there and a response to happen. Just common sense kind of things. The cause always has to precede the effect. It can never be the other way around. Therefore, you get a constant union. The cause and effect are always together. A couple more important things. The same cause always produces the same effect. That makes sense, right? Just kind of a logical thing. As is the converse. The same effect always produced by the same cause. If you do one cause and you get different effects, you really don't have the relationships in terms of cause and effect as Hume discusses them. We also seek pleasure, avoid pain. You're going to find that as a basic premise of many of the thinkers that we're going to be talking about in this unit and in other units too. And he says the pleasure and pain based on our emotions or passions are associated with ideas and impressions. So you have an idea about something and it may bring you pleasure or it might bring you pain even just by thinking about it based on previous impressions that you've had. So that's a little bit on Hume. Hopefully you picked up some stuff here. We'll continue on with our discussion of the empiricist as we go forward. We'll see you next time in the history of psychology. Bye now. This has been a We Have Couches video production. Copyright 2020, Professor Michael Botwin. All rights reserved.